Have you ever noticed that when a woman crosses 60, something very quiet but very radical starts to change in the way she shows up with the people around her? The woman who used to answer every phone call, open her door to every request, carry everything on her back so the family could stay peaceful one day, becomes more silent, more firm, more distant. Yesterday, her phone was always available. Today, when certain names show up, the phone rings, but she no longer picks up the door that once stayed open for everyone, now closes selectively. The sentences that used to be "all right, let me handle it," slowly turn into calm, unapologetic "no." From the outside, it is very easy to put labels on her. She has become difficult. She is old and bitter. She is cutting people off. She is selfish. But what if all of that is completely wrong? What if a woman over 60 quietly cutting back her relationships is not the beginning of a rage, but the final alarm after decades where her body, her nervous system, and her heart have been paying the price in silence? In this video, we are not going to look at this through judgment. We are going to go inside what has really been happening over all those years before she started closing her door. Why at some point a calm no becomes an act of survival. And if you are a woman over 60 who is starting to pull back from a few people, it may not be that you are becoming worse. Like they say, you may simply be waking up just in time before the price becomes too high to ever get back. When people hear the sentence, "she cut everyone off," most of them imagine a bitter woman full of rage slamming the door shut on the world. But psychologically, in many cases, that is not what is happening. For decades before that, this woman has been taught in very subtle ways that keeping the family peaceful is her job, that enduring disrespect is what a good woman does, that being the peacemaker and carrying everyone's problems is simply her duty. She learns to swallow it. The husband's dismissive comments, the children who only come when they need something, the relatives who only remember her when they need a favor, alone a problem solved. In the eyes of society, she is a good woman because she quietly carries the weight in the eyes of her body. This is a very long chain of stress that never gets a name. Around 60, her body can no longer hide it. Blood pressure starts to speak up. Sleep is torn apart by anxiety. The aches and fatigue with no clear cause start to pile up. A voice inside her, the voice that has been pushed down for decades, starts to grow louder. "I do not have the energy for this anymore." That moment is not the beginning of cutting people off. It is the result of every single time she told herself, "It is fine," soothed herself, made excuses for other people across many years. From the outside, all they see is yesterday she was still smiling and talking. Today she is silent and withdrawn. What they do not see is how many nights her heart was beating faster when a certain name lit up her phone. How many times she sat alone in the kitchen after a family meal and felt an invisible exhaustion spreading through her whole body. Imagine a woman that the whole extended family, the whole neighborhood openly acknowledges as the pillar. When someone needs a loan, they call her. When people are fighting, they ask her to mediate on holidays and big occasions. If she is not in the middle, holding things together, everything falls apart. One day, she is admitted to the hospital for a heart issue during the first days. Her room is quiet. There are no hurried footsteps coming in. There is no door opening, followed by, "I came to see you." During that time, the bed next to her gets two different patients. People come and go. There are always relatives visiting, bringing food, checking in. Her bed does not. When she gets better and is discharged, the phone starts ringing again. Familiar voices come back, but not to say, "How is your health now? How are you doing?" Instead, they say, "Can I borrow some money, just for now? Can you watch the kids this weekend? Can you stay home and help me with this and that?" In that moment, a sentence rises very clearly in her mind. "The people I held above my own head never held me in the palm of their hands." She does not argue. She does not explode. She does not shout. She does not make a big announcement. She simply starts to stop being so available. From the outside, it may look like a sudden cold shift, but for her, it is the first time in many decades that she stands on her own side and admits that even she has an expiration date for one-way emotional labor that only ever goes one way. This is not the story of a woman becoming vicious. This is the story of a woman who finally recognizes the price she's been paying and reaches for the stop button before her body and the rest of her life crack any further. After the shock in the hospital, something else starts to change quietly inside her. Before, the question she always asked herself was, how do I keep this relationship? How do I keep the kids from being angry? The relatives from gossiping, the neighbors and friends from saying I walked away from family? After that event, the question slowly changes into what is this relationship costing me every single day? Her mind starts doing something strange. It lines her relationships up under a bright light, and instead of asking, does this person need me? It starts asking, what am I losing when I am close to this person? How many hours of sleep? How many swallowed tears? How many times I blame myself? How much money? How much energy? How many years I have left? This is not selfishness. This is the first time in her life she puts herself on the scale. It is like a carton of milk before the expiry date. You can still stretch it. You still say it is probably fine for one more day, but when it has expired, it does not become evil. It simply becomes dangerous if you keep pouring it into your body. The same is true for many one-way relationships. She does not hate those people. She just realizes if she keeps consuming that kind of connection, it will be her own nervous system, her own heart, and the rest of her years that get poisoned. So she quietly steps out of certain roles. She is no longer the very first number everyone calls when there is a crisis. She no longer automatically says yes every time someone asks. In the eyes of people outside, that may look like a sign that she has become selfish and only thinks about herself. In her own eyes, it is simply the expiry date of crushing herself so that everyone else can be comfortable. Before 60, many women have been trained to become a filter that deletes warning signs. Someone talks to her harshly. She tells herself he is probably just stressed. Someone makes jokes out of her pain. She thinks it is family, let it go, so the house stays peaceful. A relative constantly asks for help. She tells herself, I will just push through, speaking up will cause drama. Her body sends signals: tight chest, heavy shoulders, restless sleep, and aching stomach, and her mind smooths them over. It is fine, I can take it. But past a certain point, especially after a few health scares, that filter changes mode. Instead of erasing warning signals, it starts to highlight them in bold. Words, gestures, and looks she used to deliberately gloss over suddenly become impossible to ignore. The little digs, the casual contempt, the way her help is treated as a given, the frightening silence when she is the one in need. Her body will not let her pretend she is fine anymore. Imagine a certain relative, a name that every time it flashes on your screen, your whole body tightens. This person basically only calls when they need you to babysit, need money, need a ride to the hospital, need someone to clean up the mess from their own choices. Every time the phone rings, before your brain can even think what to say, your body has already reacted. Your heart beats faster. A stone drops into your stomach. A tiny thought flickers. Here we go again. After years of this, doctors start saying very simple but very clear things. Your blood pressure is not stable. Your sleep is being disrupted. Your body has been living in an alert state for too long. The money she pays for medicine each month goes up, but a lot of it is not to fix some random illness that fell out of the sky. It is to patch up a nervous system that has had to brace itself every single time she swallowed a no. She had the right to say. One day, looking at that name on the screen, she asks herself a very direct question: if this were not a relative, would I ever accept this treatment from anyone? The answer is no. The next time that voice on the other end starts issuing orders and assignments, she does not yell, she does not attack. She simply says, I cannot do that for you anymore. Not today. The silence on the other end quickly turns into anger. Guilt trips. Sentences like, so you do not love me anymore. You have changed. You were not like this before. But this time, she does not step back into the role of the accused. From the outside, people might look at that and say, see, she is cutting off her own family. Inside, this is simply the first time in her life she lets her inner filter keep the warning instead of deleting it. Her tolerance for disrespect and for one-way taking has officially dropped to zero. For most of her life, the world has stuck many labels on this woman. A good wife is the one who swallows. A good mother is the one who gives up everything for her children. A good grandmother is the one who is always ready to watch the grandkids cook, clean, host. These roles are not all bad, But if they go on for decades without boundaries, they slowly swallow up her personal identity. When the kids are grown, when work is retired, when a partner is gone, a big empty space opens up. If tomorrow no one needs me to do all these things, then who am I? Many of the relationships around her have been built around her playing a part. The part of the organizer of every family event, the part of the one responsible for every detail from the kitchen to the conflicts, the part of the emotional ambulance that always shows up when everyone else is in crisis. When she stops, when she no longer performs in some relationships, nothing is left. One year, the woman who always hosted every gathering tells the family that this year she does not have the strength to host anymore. No one volunteers to take her place. No one offers, "Let us carry this for you this time." The family simply stops gathering. It hurts deeply, but that pain also contains a truth: some people loved what I did for them, not necessarily who I am. From that point, she starts to invest her time and energy into other kinds of connections. Smaller circles of friends where she is not there to serve anyone. Activities where she gets to be herself. Reading, walking, going to church, joining classes, clubs. Relationships where people ask, "How are you today?" before they ask, "Are you free? Can you help me?" From the outside, her spending more time alone can look like retreat, but for her, it is a process of healing identity, the first time separating who I am from what I do for other people. When we are young, we often live as if there are unlimited seasons ahead. We endure today believing one day it will be different. We hope that someday this person will change. We sacrifice heavily in the present for a very vague future. After 60, her body and her lived experience send a very direct message. There are fewer years in front of you than behind you. Life is no longer a rehearsal. There are not that many next times to fix things. The question in her heart shifts into, do I want to spend the rest of my life explaining myself, patching up old emotional wounds, letting my blood pressure rise for someone who refuses to look at themselves, or not? When the answer is no, boundaries become non-negotiable. She stops going to certain houses where every time she leaves she feels smaller. She stops taking certain calls where just seeing the name sends her body into alarm. She stops answering certain messages that she knows are only the opening line to a long chain of demands. It is not because she feels above anyone. It is because she no longer has the luxury of time to trade her heartbeat, her sleep, and the last act of her life for relationships that refuse to grow up. At that age, peace is no longer a luxury. It becomes the minimum requirement for her to agree to be present in any relationship at all. From a distance, it is easy to think that women who step back and cut down their circle are women who are bitter, done with people, closed off. But when you really listen, the truth is very different. Most of them do not actually want to be alone. They still long for connection, for laughter, for a hand to hold. What they refuse now is having to pay for that with a nervous system stuck in constant alert, with self-respect scraped away with their money, their health and their time drained out for people who will not take responsibility for themselves. They are not running from people. They are running from pain that keeps repeating. They are not rejecting love. They are rejecting exploitation, contempt, and emotional labor that no one names or honors. The hardest part for them is not being by themselves. The hardest part is the day they realize, my whole life I have been needed more for what I do for people than for who I am. In that moment, many women choose something they never believed they had permission to choose before. They choose peace over being liked. They choose a few relationships that are safe and mutual over a house full of people where their heart is always tired. And slowly they discover something that sounds simple but can take 60 or 70 years to reach. You actually can be alone without being lonely. When you can sit in your own home, look out the window, and know that no one is going to walk in here with the right to demand that you destroy yourself so they can feel comfortable. At this point, the important thing is not how many people you keep in your life, it is who you become every time you walk out of a meeting, a phone call, a house. There is one question that many emotionally healthy older women start to ask themselves after 60, and it is simpler than you think. Every time I connect with this person, do I become more of who I really am, or less? It is not, will people judge me? Do they still see me as a good person? It is, who am I slowly becoming inside this relationship? If after your interactions you leave feeling smaller, weaker, more anxious, more numb, like you have to shrink yourself, speak less, breathe more quietly, then the emotional price you're paying may simply be too high, even if that relationship has beautiful labels like family, friend, loved one. If after being with them you leave feeling calmer, more yourself, more heard, more respected, more seen as a whole person, those are the connections worth nurturing, even if they are small, few, and not flashy. This question is not a weapon to use against anyone. It is a mirror to see who you are gradually turning into when you stay in a certain pattern of connection for too long. You do not have to have the answer in one day, but starting today, every time a name pops up on your screen or an invitation appears, you can quietly ask, after this, will I be more myself or less? The answer inside you already knows. You are simply allowing it to speak out loud for the first time. We are often taught that cutting people out of your life is a sign that you are closed off hard or a failure at relationships. From a depth psychology perspective, many women after 60 are not becoming worse. They are simply refusing to agree to hurt themselves any further. They are not suddenly turning cold. They just no longer have enough time, enough heartbeats, enough years to keep playing nurse, mother, therapist, and bank for people who refuse to grow up in their own lives. You are not selfish for choosing peace. You are not cruel for walking out of rooms where every time you leave you feel a little more erased. You are standing on the side of the rest of your life. Now, if you can give yourself a few minutes in a quiet place, just you and a blank piece of paper, write down 3 to 5 names of the people who show up the most in your life right now. For each name, ask yourself and write it down honestly with no sugarcoating, no excuses. Every time I walk away from this person, who do I feel I am? Do I usually feel peaceful, seen, respected? Or do I usually feel smaller, drained, invisible? Do not rush to decide who to cut out or who to keep. Today's practice is only to look straight at the truth and to give that part of you that knows exactly what is happening a chance to speak. If in that list there is a name that makes your body react before you even finish reading it, start very gently, reduce the frequency a little. Say yes one time, less, add one moment where you say, I cannot do that for you today. You do not owe anyone the destruction of your mental health and the last chapter of your life just to keep the image of a good woman in their eyes. If you are in a season of quietly stepping back from certain people and your heart feels both lighter and confused, remember this. It is not that you are becoming worse. You are learning to choose safety over endurance. You are learning to believe that you deserve to show up in relationships where your true self is seen. If what we talked about in this video touched your journey, keep it as a private reminder for yourself. You can write down the question, who am I becoming in this relationship? You can share this video with another woman who you sense is quietly exhausted in the same way. Not to convince her to cut anyone off, but to let her know she is not alone in her search for peace. And if you want to keep having conversations like this, stay with the channel. We are going to talk much more about how to protect your peace, your dignity, and your heart without apologizing to anyone for it.